Hello, true art believers, and welcome to today's live art stream. This is Pierson here. I hope you're having a wonderful day. I hope you are. I am the number one live art streamer in the world and the most prolific one. Anyways, today we're going to discuss, we're going to do some warm ups and we're going to work on drawing the female figure, or mainly probably only going to tackle like arms and kind of address certain things that might occur along the way. So, without further ado, let's begin today's live art stream. And let me move some things around here. I'm just trying to just move a few things around so that we can there we go. I'm just trying to move a few just moving some things around, moving my camera, getting that positioned so that it's better so we can see, and we're going to begin drawing. But before we begin, just like before, we're going to add a few little things here, and we're going to do some warm-ups. I'm going to warm up because I'm coming in a bit around the edges. I gotta stop having this notifications thing. I want to set it up. I gotta set it up so that there we go. I gotta set up my did it again. So my tablet is touching, it's recognizing my there we go. It's recognizing my hand as doing an action, and it's not. So I'm gonna have to get like one of those gloves that I see everyone else using, you know. So we're gonna do some warm-ups today, okay? Do a few minutes of warm-ups, and we're gonna go from there. So I'm gonna use my black pen. We're just gonna use the eraser. There we go. We're gonna have the flow on this at 100%, and we're just gonna start out by doing some straight lines first. Really not like, we're just gonna do some straight lines for a little bit. I'm feeling a little rough around the edges. Again, coming in cold, and that's usually what it's like. Very few artists can. Well, not really. I'm just, from my experience, it's better to kind of like just kind of get warmed up so that your hand movements are firing on all cylinders, and also doing these basic movements gets you gets your central nervous system, it gets your mind, your hand and mind coordinated with each other, and it just allows for better outcomes. So notice that my lines are getting, so not significantly better, but they are improving with each motion, and that's what we're looking for, and that's what we want. We want to be able to be a little bit better, a little bit more consistent with each line that you're working on here, and that just takes time, and that just takes you working and spending that extra moment to kind of get warmed up. Nothing wrong with just jumping into drawing, but I really find that you want to get a lot of those bad lines out. You want to get a lot of those bad marks out before you actually begin said drawing. I know it seems rather silly to kind of do warm-ups, but I need to be doing some straight lines for this next exercise, for this drawing, and I want to not have to like do those scratchy drawings. And you see me doing these straight lines. And when you first start out, when you first start out drawing, a lot like you always do like that, like it's like tapping, you're like scratchiness, right? We're trying to do a straight line, and you do this like scratchy stuff. You don't want that. You want to be able to do a consistent line. So that's why you do these things over and over again. And my horizontal lines are not that good. They're very bad. It's one of my weak points. So I'm doing this because it makes me uncomfortable. But it's just you're just warming up, getting the process going. So after this, I'm probably going to do some ellipses and circles because I'm going to be talking about the arms, and we're going to have to address some simple shapes to get going there. Um, and I maybe another part about this warm up phase is it gets rid of. It's like a psychological thing where it it gets you into this feeling of into this idea of drawing, you know. So I got to draw some circles for a few minutes. As I said, I'm going to typically these live streams are going to be me talking about the importance of warm ups and then talking about the anatomy process later on. And as um I progress in these streams, I think, as I progress in these streams, and as the figures get more complex, or as I start adding new, more intricate ideas or concepts, I'll be adding different shapes into the mix to kind of get me acclimated. I'm feeling very stiff with my circles at this moment, and the thing about that is to recognize that stiffness, right, and kind of just not necessarily embrace it, but know that that's happening, and just try to be more mindful of it. What I find interesting about drawing is it can be kind of therapeutic, right? It can be a what is it called, like cathartic? I think that might be the word for it, where it's kind of like memorable. So it's going to take me a little while. I'm still feeling very uncomfortable with my circles. I've done so many circles in my life and I still suck. I'm like one of the slowest learners ever. And I'm not being that to be like hyperbolic. I think that means like being in like a vacuum. Um, but I'm really am serious. Like I'll have artists that'll look put half the amount of effort and then they're like twice as good. And maybe it's because they're doing it better. Maybe they're just more focused. I don't know. It could be, or it could just be I'm one of those guys that just takes a while to really get used to a thing. So now we got some circles. I'm gonna do some horizontal ellipses. Actually, we're gonna do some horizontal ellipses, and the ellipses are gonna be important because they're gonna be what we're gonna kind of do with our they're going to be the structure for our cylinders, and the cylinders are going to be used towards structuring our appendages for this particular body that we're working on. And so that's why I'm doing these warm-ups, so I'm not having to do all those junk ellipses later on. Now, some individuals may frown upon doing warm-ups or practicing these silly little shapes. Um, I get it. You know, it's some can say that it's kind of a waste. You know, maybe not. But being able to do these better and better, or at least doing them consistent, is always a good thing. Because you never know when you're going to need to do an ellipse to make an eye. You know, like a little cartoon eye, right? You never know when you're going to need that. So just being able to do ellipses on command and do them well. These are really rough. These are really bad, actually. I'm not positioned favorably. And part of the reason why the ellipses aren't as good is I'm talking, which you think wouldn't distract, you know, wouldn't like deter me from doing this type of drawing or affecting me, but it does. It's kind of like it's not like you're seeing professional athletes talking while they're doing their activity. You know, they're trying to perform at peak levels. And so talking does distract. It is a distraction. So you got to understand when I do these things and I'm not doing them as well as I could, it's because I'm not as focused on it. I'm not my mental capacity is not focused 100% on just creating the best. shapes that I can. So I'm gonna do some cylinders now, just some regular cylinders. Some cylinders here and there. That's not that good. But the point is to keep doing it and to be consistent. So if I do this 15 minutes a day before each live stream, before I start my drawing, eventually, fingers crossed, I will have improvement. There's going to be small improvements. It's going to be incremental for me. I'm very slow to improve things. I'm going to need that 1001 you know, drawing or 1001 cylinder or circle before before it really becomes apparent. So I'm just doing a bunch of cylinders of various widths to challenge myself. Maybe do some cylinders on the side here, just kind of like they're just horizontal. Maybe I should do a few more of those. I'm also kind of procrastinating. I don't want to jump into this drawing. I'm feeling what would you call it? A little, what would you call it? The word would be, I'm not feeling as confident. Um, it's been a while since I've drawn figurative work, and when you don't do things often enough, you lose a little bit of confidence. And so I'm trying to kind of prime my brain around this idea a little bit so that when I start working on this drawing, I'll be able to kind of function a little bit better. So now let's do another thing. We're going to do some quick little socket. What I do. Here we go. So little sphere, socket, sphere, cylinder, hand, right? So just warming up to this, right? It just takes a little while. I'm kind of going a little bit fast because I'm feeling a little anxious. So ball, socket. Ball. The ball represents like the elbow, like the joint in the shoulder, and then the cylinder represents obviously the arm, and so forth. And this is just a simple way to kind of imagine your arm, you know. And then there's ways like you might want to think of the cylinder as more tapered, a little bit more tapered as it shrinks down. So it gets, or you can think of it as a giant cylinder that just kind of tapers down a little bit. So it's wider at the top and thinner at the bottom. And then you can put your elbow joint in there and then maybe add your socket, your elbow movement right there. Okay. So that's just a way to kind of structure this. All right. So I got enough time for like maybe one more. And then we're going to kind of fiddle around with the figure and talk about it. This is not a conducive way to get a lot of figurative drawing done. I'm only going to be able to put in like 15 minutes. I might need to tone down the warm-ups to 10 minutes and just jump into like the more complex shapes, and just practice those and yeah, just practice those. All right. Let's delete that. Now, here's our figurative work that we're going to work on. I don't know if I probably should just do this. I'm going to delete this stuff right here. Because that has to do with this stuff has to do with yesterday or the day before. I'm just going to delete that. wrong layer, delete that. And we're going to go to right here and remove this. We'll talk about this stuff later. I don't think I need it. Delete it. And now what we're going to do is we're going to continue on this layer. I'm going to press deselect, kind of talk about what I'm going to be working on, or at least try to. Oh, press B. And now make the opacity around 50%, 49, 50%. So something like that. It's gonna be a different blue. That's okay. That's close enough. So I think what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna focus on is we're gonna focus on doing a rough sketch of the arms. I totally forgot to introduce the hands, or practice the hands. So what I want to show first before we begin is kind of like the arms. Her arms actually, we're just gonna kind of put these elbow sockets here on there and leave those there. What's happening is there's like a kind of like her clavicles raised up. She's raising her shoulder up right here, but we're going to leave that static at the moment. She's actually her arms are pretty much, if we were to draw what her arms look like right now, they kind of look like this. They're kind of just crisscrossing over each other with a cylinder like this. This one's slightly below, and it's crisscrossing below underneath. But that's not what we're going to be doing. Actually, I might do that. I might just do that. No, that's not what we're going to do. What I want to do is I want to make her arm kind of maybe do something like this, and then her other arm right here do something like this, right? She's kind of posing, right? I don't know, kind of posing. So that's what I want to do with her arm. And so this is something I kind of just want to talk about, or I kind of learned today. Not necessarily learned, but I'm reintroduced to it. And I want to try it out. I don't really like doing this because some people, it just seems weird. It's kind of like what you're doing is you're making basically stick arms. And these areas, like the bicep bone and the forearm bone, are going to be pretty much the same. They equal each other, right? They're the same length. So that's what we're going to be doing today. So I think that's what I'm going to do. Remove those. Oops, I don't want to copy that. Is we're going to remove that, delete that, and then we're going to go, and on top of this, we're just going to use this already, because this already kind of works, right? Because I'm going to have her arm here, and then her hand's going to be either doing like a fist thing, or it's going to be on her hip, or it could be just maybe it's in front, I don't know yet. We could adjust that later. And then her other arm is going to be kind of doing something like this, where it's just kind of, maybe it's just kind of at a fist, right? I don't know yet. And so that's what I think I want to do with this one, is this shoulder is going to be raised up and so forth. All right, so that's just a quick little sketch. I'm going to put down the opacity of that, and I'm going to go on top of that and work on the arm. So this part, what you're going to do is around on this area, we're going to basically, what's happening here? Okay, so right here and right here, if we're going to make this kind of transparent, right? So this would be like the area that the shoulder is at, right? We're going to treat the shoulder kind of raised up for her, because her shoulder is raised up. She's kind of raised up purposely. And we want to raise that up because that shoulder is kind of, the shoulder is not like your hip joint, right, where the bone is kind of stuck into that hinge, The shoulder has some mobility up and down, right? And a little bit, it can kind of retract and pull out and inwards a little bit because it's moving on a scapular. It's anchored from that clavicle area. It's kind of anchored there and allows for the shoulder to kind of go up and down a little bit. And there's and then it's the so this is the arm, right? And then there's that shoulder blade right behind it, and it allows it to go up and down like this. But because that scapula goes around the rib cage, it kind of floats, you know, and it's connected to the bone, the arm bone, and the clavicle kind of does its little clavicle thing right here. The scapula floats. It allows for the rotation a little bit forward and back. So that scapula kind of acts as like a little, like a, I don't know, like a shell. I don't know. Anyways, so that allows the shoulder blade to be raised and so forth. So we're going to pretend that shoulder blade's raised, and we're going to make a circle here, and we're going to make a circle right here, because we're going to pretend that that shoulder for the arm right here is raised, and this one's closer to the socket around that rib cage area. So we're going to do something like this. We're going to do like thin cylinders, because this is a female, and I don't want to kind of create overly bulky forms. Now I can see myself. This feels like I've made the forearm too short. I don't know yet. This might change once we start adding form. So we're just going to leave it like this. I know I can see myself probably cutting this and pivoting it upward a little bit, like, because we're going to obviously need to add flesh and joints and like flesh onto this figure. So that might mean that I'm going to have to raise these arms up. But I just want to show that and recognize that that might occur later on. And so we're going to do like a kind of like a pose like this, where maybe she's got like a fist right here or something, and this is on her hip area or something like that. I don't know yet. We'll see. Or maybe if she's doing like a power pose, maybe we can put a fist right here and then have a fist right there, and which means we're going to have to raise this up a little bit. So that's what I might do. I'm gonna raise it up. So we're gonna raise this arm up a little bit in response to the fact that she's gonna have a little bit of room here. And we're just going to anticipate that she's going to kind of put her hand. She's not going to put her hand on her hip. She's going to put her hand on her hip like a fist, and I have a fist right here, so that the arm kind of does something like that. All right, and so I think that's a good start for the arms. Just like as a purely, we might clean it up a bit. Right, we're going to clean it up a little bit. And let's clean it up. And we're going to clean it up, and then we're going to go ahead and so I'm going to go real slow on this part. Add a joint here. Taper, and then we're going to add like just a shape like that to kind of signify like the fist knuckle shape. Okay, and then right here we're going to put a circle, because it's going to kind of be pivoted. We're going to pivot her torso a little bit. That's what this line is. And we're going to draw a line right here behind, put another arm. So I'm purposely being thin with her arms. She's got thicker legs, but I'm purposely being thin with the arms because I don't want to add too much bulk on there. I'm afraid that if I add too much, then I'm not going to be able to retract that later on. So a little cylinder here to kind of react as a post here. Not really dead set on this right now, but I can always change it, and a kind of like a shape to kind of represent like a hand. Okay, so that's that for the arms. A very simple little rendition. Now I think we got a lot of the structures in. So what I might want to do is I might want to clean up. I might want to clean up the hip area so you can see some of these illustrations a little bit, and then I'm going to talk about the abs a little bit. Then maybe talk about some of the pec area, and then talk about adding some flesh to some extent. I'm avoiding the head at the moment. I want to get some of these other areas in so that I can really dial it in, and then I'll be able to kind of mindfully put the neck into the right area. And I don't know if I'm going to get to that today. So we're just going to kind of clean up the legs here. I want to clean them up a little bit. And so we're going to clean them up using blue again, right? A little bit of blue, maybe a darker blue, and kind of go slow in this one. So we're going to clean her up here. And let's see. The box, actually, I want to even make it even more transparent than half. I need to be able to, there you go. All right, so let's do this box area. Kind of get that box shape back in there with less kind of disruptions. And we're going to convert that box to more of a angled shape like that. So we're going to convert that box to more of an angled shape like that. And then that's going to leave very little to the side here. And if you were to imagine this kind of transparent like this, kind of be like something like this, right? And now we're going to draw the circle for the ball joint. And then we're going to draw the circle for the ball joint right here on the hip. And we're going to reestablish that shape that we drew earlier, so it's less scratchy, or try to in the time frame. I got to keep it a very hard 30 minutes actually. And then draw another ball joint right here. Okay. And then right here. Now I'm kind of purposely, I'm going to add a little bit more form on this area to kind of express like calves. And then the feet, I'm going to leave the feet like that right now. We're just going to reapply the same shape that we did on the feet. I'm going to go back to that a little bit more in depth later on. So basically what this kind of like series is going to kind of talk about, it's going to kind of break down these forms, and then it's going to show how I'm going to apply those into real life. And I'm feeling that this is going to help me in my figurative work and help me think about it differently. Of course, it's going to take a lot longer to do a figure because I have to stop and explain what I'm doing as well. And I think I'm just going to keep doing this and see how it turns out. Something like this, fine. We're going to just kind of add a generic foot, and we're going to go back to that and talk about the feet at a later date. But I just want to kind of get that there. We'll work on. So that is it for the day. We kind of got the arms a little bit more in place. Kind of talked about certain things that I've been thinking about. And next time, what I'll do is before we even begin, I'm going to reestablish the what would you call it, the torso, and then I'm going to draw over it like some abdominal like muscle structures of what I'm seeing as a landmark, and then we're going to start adding flesh on top of this a little bit, as well, and kind of seeing how you can kind of take some of these ideas and change them up a little bit. I still feel what's happened here is I've kind of gotten a little too rigid. I feel like maybe this leg could be pivoted down more. Not sure yet. Anyhow, it's a good start, and I can always change it. Actually, I'm not going to keep changing it. I'm just going to kind of keep it like this, and then maybe there'll be some subtle tweaks along the way when I work on it. Kind of add the clay sculpture on top. That is it for the day. I hope you enjoyed my explanation to how to kind of structure your arms a little bit, and how they kind of function and where you can go from there. So this is just a kind of rough. Again, we're going to get to a point where we're actually going to start putting lines on there, and we're going to start showing the figure a little bit more. But right now, this is where I'm at, and we'll see what I can do from here. I hope you enjoyed today's live art stream. I know there's a lot more of it, like kind of narration than normal, but that's how it is, and just kind of trying to learn. And if I'm able to explain it, then I'm able to employ it. Anyways, I got to get going. I hope you have a wonderful day. This is Pierson. I am the #1 live art streamer in the world. If you haven't yet, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Cheers. Have a wonderful day.